The first time he saw her, she was standing in the rain, arguing with a taxi driver who refused to take her anywhere unless she paid double. Her hair was soaked, her shoes were clearly worn beyond repair, and yet there was something in her eyes, defiance mixed with dignity, that made Adrian Vale, billionaire CEO of Vale Industries, pause mid-step. He was used to people stopping for him, not the other way around. But that night, for reasons he couldn't explain, the world seemed to narrow until there was only her, the rain, and a strange pull in his chest he had never felt before. Adrian was known as a man of control. He controlled markets, mergers, and men twice his age. At 34, he had built an empire from the ashes of a broken childhood and a father who taught him that love was a weakness. Emotions were liabilities, relationships were distractions. That belief had served him well, until that night. Without thinking, he stepped forward, paid the driver triple the fare, and told the woman to get in. She refused at first, pride stiffening her spine, but the cold finally won. When she looked at him to say thank you, her voice trembled, not from fear, but from exhaustion. Her name was Alara. She didn't ask who he was, didn't flatter him, didn't look impressed by his tailored coat or the waiting car behind him. She simply thanked him, sincerely, like it mattered. During the short drive, she spoke about nothing important, her long shift at the hospital, her late rent, her dream of becoming a pediatric surgeon one day. Adrian listened, truly listened, and found himself wanting the drive to last longer. When she stepped out of the car, she smiled once, waved, and disappeared into a dim apartment building, taking something from him without even knowing it. He thought he would forget her by morning. He didn't. He couldn't. Her voice echoed in his head during board meetings. Her smile haunted the glass walls of his penthouse. For the first time in years, Adrian Vale was distracted, and it terrified him. He had investigators track her down under the excuse of charity work. What he found unsettled him even more. Alara was an orphan who had worked her way through medical school with scholarships and night shifts. She volunteered at free clinics. She sent money anonymously to other struggling students. She lived quietly, honestly, bravely. Everything about her life stood in sharp contrast to his own world of luxury and guarded hearts. Their second encounter wasn't an accident. Adrian arranged a fundraiser at the hospital where she worked. When she saw him again, surprise flickered across her face, followed by guarded politeness. This time, she noticed the way people deferred to him, the way his name carried weight. And for the first time, a wall rose between them. She thanked him again for that night but kept her distance. Adrian, who had never chased anyone in his life, found himself doing exactly that, showing up, donating, offering help she didn't ask for. Alara confronted him one evening, her voice steady but hurt, accusing him of pity. That cut deeper than any insult he'd ever received. He told her the truth, or as much of it as he understood, that he couldn't forget her, that something about her made him feel human again. She didn't soften. She told him she didn't want to be a curiosity, a charity case, or a temporary fascination in a billionaire's life. She had seen men like him before, men who took and left without consequences. Adrian went home that night furious, not at her, but at himself. For the first time, someone had seen through him, and he didn't want to hide anymore. Weeks passed without contact. Adrian tried to return to his old routine, but it felt hollow. Then a crisis struck. An exposed scandal within his company, planted by rivals, threatened to destroy everything he'd built. The media turned ruthless. Investors panicked. Adrian worked non-stop, barely sleeping, pushing himself the way he always had. One night, he collapsed in his office. When he woke up, Alara was there. She had been called as the on-duty doctor. Fate, it seemed, wasn't done with them. She treated him professionally, but concern slipped through her calm exterior. In his vulnerable state, stripped of power and polish, Adrian finally told her about his childhood, his fear of attachment, his belief that love was temporary and pain permanent. Alara listened the same way he had listened to her that night in the rain. She told him strength wasn't about control, it was about courage, about choosing connection even when it scared you. Before she left, she told him she hoped he would be okay. Nothing more, nothing less, but that was enough to break the final wall around his heart. Adrian fought back, not just for his company, but for the man he wanted to become. He exposed the corruption, rebuilt trust, and stepped away from decisions that compromised his values. When the storm passed, he sought Alara again, not as a billionaire trying to impress her, but as a man asking for a chance. He showed up without gifts, without promises of wealth, only honesty. He told her he didn't want to own her life or rescue her. He wanted to walk beside her, if she'd let him. Alara didn't say yes right away. She made him wait, made him prove consistency, humility, and respect. And he did. He learned her world, supported her dreams, celebrated her successes without overshadowing them. Love grew slowly, quietly, but deeply. For the first time, Adrian felt peace instead of fear. Months later, standing in the same place where they first met, rain falling gently around them, Adrian knelt, not with a diamond the size of a fortune, but with a simple ring and a trembling voice. He told her she was the one encounter that changed everything, the woman he didn't just want, but chose, every day. Alara said yes, not because he was a billionaire, but because he had learned to be human. And as they embraced in the rain, Adrian understood the truth he had spent a lifetime avoiding. Real power isn't found in money or control, but in love that transforms you, and the courage to hold on to it when it finally finds you.